Hey, what's up guys, Jaeky here. I'm a top 400 Radiant player and today I'm going to be unboxing and reviewing the Viper V3 Pro. Shout out to Razer for sending this out for review, but as always, that does not affect my opinion of it. So the Razer Viper V3 Pro is Razer's new flagship mouse and it's been redesigned shape-wise and there's a bunch of new features added to it. So let's get into the review and I'll give you guys my full thoughts on it. So the Viper V3 Pro is retailing at $160 USD and it comes in at 54 grams, which is lighter than the Superlight by 6 grams. So inside of the box, you're going to get the mouse itself with some plastic wrap on the bottom of the mouse, pretty standard. You also get a 8000 hertz dongle. So this is actually really nice because there's a lot of mouse companies that separate the high polling rate dongles from the mouse and you have to buy it separately. But for $160 USD, you are getting the 8000 hertz dongle right in the box with your mouse, so you don't have to purchase it separately. In the box, you also get actually a really nice high quality USB-C cable. It is braided and it does match the color of the mouse. And of course, you also get a quick start guide and also some grip tape that you can put on the mouse, as well as some Razer stickers. Okay, that's pretty much the unboxing of the mouse. I have it now on my desk, and first thing we're going to talk about is the coating. So I have heard a lot of people mention that the coating on the black variant and the white variant of this mouse do feel different. So a lot of people do say that the white version feels more rubberized, whereas the black version of the Viper V3 Pro is using more of a soft touch coating. So that's something to keep in mind. Obviously, I don't have the black version, so I can't really test that. I did end up choosing the white one though because of the things I've heard about the grip. Yeah, the grip on this mouse has been really, really good. I have pretty moist hands when I play. My hands do get pretty sweaty. And for someone who has sweaty hands, the grip on this mouse is pretty much perfect. Like I have a really, really solid grip on this mouse. Like minimal contact with only my index and middle finger and like the very back of my palm, I can pick this mouse up when my hands are moist. Like really, really good grip. And it feels pretty rubberized when my hands are wet. Like it feels like a pretty rubbery grip. And yeah, there's really no complaints. If I compare it to something like my G Pro Superlight 2, the Viper V3 Pro for me definitely has a more sticky grip. And I feel like I can grip the Viper V3 Pro a lot better. But the coating on the Viper V3 Pro definitely does feel a little bit better for me. Okay, let's talk about the weight really quickly. So the weight on the Viper V3 Pro is 54 grams compared to the G Pro Superlight 2 at 60 grams. And is it noticeable? Yes, it is noticeable. When you're doing like an A/B test and you're lifting them up like this, you can notice that the Viper V3 Pro is slightly lighter. Is it going to make a difference for you in game? Most likely not. But yeah, the weight balancing on the Viper V3 Pro is really solid. If I pick it up from the middle here, it doesn't tip to either side. Very solid weight balancing. So yeah, Razer did a really good job with the weight balancing on this mouse, and the 54 grams feels extremely solid. Going over build quality of the mouse really fast. Very solid build quality as expected from Razer. If I squeeze on the sides, there's no flex whatsoever. Shaking the mouse, there's absolutely no rattle, no concerning sound. So overall, the build quality is very solid. And you get 54 grams, super lightweight with no holes and just a very solid shell. So the Viper V3 Pro is using Razer's Gen 3 optical switches. The GPX2 also uses optical switches. I've never really been a fan of the way optical switches feel on mice. I prefer mechanical switches. The implementation of the optical switches on the Viper V3 Pro is pretty solid. When compared to the G Pro Superlight 2, the clicks on the Viper V3 Pro is a little bit more muted. It's not as loud and it's not as high pitched as the clicks on the GPX2. So I'm gonna do a little sound test of the clicks for you guys in a second here. But in my opinion, the Viper V3 Pro has softer clicks and they definitely aren't as loud. And also the Viper V3 Pro is slightly easier to click down. I know a lot of people complained about the clicks on the GPX2 being a little bit too heavy and requiring too much force to click. It wasn't really ever an issue for me. Like I still find the clicks on the G Pro Superlight 2 to be very spammable. Same thing with the Viper V3 Pro, very spammable clicks, but I know that was one main complaint that a lot of people had about the clicks on the GPX2. Side buttons on the Viper V3 Pro are infinitely better than the G Pro Superlight, but obviously almost any mouse on the market right now, like any decent mouse on the market, is going to have better side buttons than the G Pro Superlight. G Pro Superlight has never had good side buttons. These are just the mushiest side buttons. The Viper V3 Pro side buttons are really tactile, very satisfying to click. A little bit of pre-travel and a little bit of post-travel, but not a super huge amount. And the scroll wheel is great. Scroll wheel click is good as well. The scroll wheel is a little bit tighter than the G Pro Superlight 2 and the steps feel a little bit more defined. I'm not sure if that's just because it's like right out of the box and maybe it'll loosen up over time, but I actually like the fact that it's a little bit tighter than the G Pro Superlight 2. I find that sometimes I'll accidentally scroll on the GPX 2, but on the Viper V3 Pro, the scroll wheel feels a little bit more tightly tensioned. Okay, let's get into the sound test here. I'll do a click test on both of these mice so you can hear the difference between the two optical switches. So yeah, that was the click test right there. If you prefer your clicks a little bit more sharp and crispy, high pitched, you might prefer the GPX 2. But if you prefer your clicks a little bit more subdued and on the lower pitch side, then you'll probably prefer the Viper V3 Pro. Okay, before we move on to the shape, let me talk about the skates really quick on the Viper V3 Pro. Really good stock skates. I really have no complaints about these skates whatsoever. I've used them on multiple pads. Currently, I'm on the Artisan Zero Soft. I've used this on my GSR2. And I've also used this on my VAC CPA Black. I've used this across several mouse pads and I've really had no issues whatsoever. The skates on this mouse were really smooth across every mouse pad I've tried them on. Yeah, really good stock skates. I really don't see any reason you would want to change these out. Okay, moving on to the most important part, which is the shape. So the shape right here, I'm going to pull up ELO shapes. You can see the comparison between the Viper V3 Pro and the G Pro Superlight 2. Very similar, like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the video. This is a completely redesigned shape by Razer, and it really looks like they were just trying to capture that G Pro Superlight market shape-wise, where it's a super safe shape and it can accommodate a bunch of different grip styles. I would put this mouse as a medium to large mouse. Same thing as the G Pro Superlight. I've always considered the G Pro Superlight to be a medium to large mouse. The Viper V3 Pro pretty much falls into the same category. So for reference, my hands are 19 centimeters long by 10 centimeters wide, and the Viper V3 Pro and the G Pro Superlight are both very comfortable mice for me. I mainly do a claw grip. I do both an aggressive claw and a relaxed claw depending on the day or the mood that I'm in. But yeah, I mainly do a claw grip or some variation of the claw grip. The GPX2 hump-wise goes a little bit further back towards the rear end, so you have a little bit more support for your palm, whereas the Viper V3 Pro doesn't really have that pronounced hump towards the back. So when you have the Viper V3 Pro in your hand, the back of the mouse doesn't really fill out your hand as much as it does on the GPX. But I will say that even though the GPX has a higher hump towards the back, the butt of the Viper V3 Pro actually is a little bit wider than the G Pro Superlight 2. So the G Pro Superlight 2 feels like it's a little bit higher towards the back. I mean, it is a little bit higher towards the back, so it will touch or it will push your palm up further. But the Viper V3 Pro actually feels fatter at the back. So it actually feels like the Viper V3 Pro fills out more of your hand, whereas the G Pro Superlight 2 is pushing more towards the middle of your hand. So for me personally, I prefer the shape of the Viper V3 Pro, and I think that's mainly because of the comfort grooves. So obviously the G Pro Superlight 2 is well known for its potato shape. It's very, very round. There's really no grooves at all on the mouse for your fingers to rest on, whereas with the Viper V3 Pro, you're getting a lot more comfort grooves. If I do that, you can see the grooves on the mouse 1 and mouse 2 for your fingers to rest on, and also on the side of the mouse, you can see how it curves into the body of the mouse. So you actually have a lot more curvature on the Viper V3 Pro, and in my opinion, that makes this mouse a lot more comfortable to hold in the hand when I compare it to my G Pro Superlight. You can see the G Pro Superlight, there's very little curve on the sides and absolutely no comfort grooves on the top of the mouse. So yeah, for grip style recommendations, claw grip, definitely, this is a solid mouse to claw grip on. I use claw grip and it's very, very comfortable. Fingertip grip is very comfortable as well. The only caveat is if you do a palm grip, this might not be the best mouse for a palm grip just because that hump in the back doesn't go up as high as the Superlight. So palm grip might not be as comfortable. Okay, let's talk about the software, which is Razer Synapse. Infamous software. A lot of people hate this software and I can see why. Updating the firmware honestly was very easy. I had no issues. I just downloaded it and ran the updater. Razer Synapse did crash multiple times when I was trying to set up profiles. So yeah, this software is definitely kind of annoying to work with. The good part is everything saves onto the mouse. So after you set it inside of the software, you can just close it and forget about it, and everything, all the settings will be saved onboard memory. With that being said, let's get into the settings here. I'm going to go over this really quickly. So for the first tab here, you just want to make your own profile, which I did here. So on the side here, you can rebind all of these buttons if you want. down here, you can change what the dongle is actually displaying. So you can see here the dongle has an LED at the very front of it. And you can either display just a white light to let you know that it's connected to the mouse. You can do battery status, so it goes green, 100%, yellow, orange, and then red. And then you have battery warning only, which is what I'm using right now, and it will just flash red when the mouse gets low on battery. Moving on to the performance tab here, you can change your DPI. So if you want multiple stages, you can do that. So you can set a maximum of 5 stages, 5 DPI stages. Or you can just turn this off completely if you just use 1 DPI, which is what I do. I just set it to 1600. You can change the X and Y DPI individually of each other if you want to do that. And then moving on to the right here, you have polling rate. Obviously, the max on this mouse is 8000, and you can go all the way down to 125. One really cool thing is you can actually turn on auto switch polling rate when in game. And what that will do is it will detect whether or not you're playing a game. If it does, then you can change it to swap to high polling rate when you're in game. And when you're on your desktop just using it normally, it will swap it back to a lower polling rate. So this can help you save battery life. The only thing is you have to have Razer Synapse open for this. So if you want to make use of this feature, the auto switch polling rate, you will have to have Razer Synapse open in the background. So I'm currently on 8000 polling rate, but I'm going to throw up some latency numbers here as well as a battery graph of how much battery life you're going to get for each polling rate, as well as the click latency test. All of this is courtesy of Bad Seed Tech. You can pretty much see that 8000 polling rate really isn't worth it. Not only is it gonna drastically reduce your battery life, but the click latency benefits that you're getting aren't really substantial enough to justify playing on 8000 Hertz. So I would personally recommend playing on either 2000 Hertz or 4000 Hertz, but you really have no need to play on 8000 Hertz. Moving on to the power tab, you can set how long it takes for the mouse to enter sleep mode to save on battery life. This is very nice. And then you have low power mode as well, which you can't use if you play on 2000 Hertz or more. And then the final tab here is calibration, which you can change the liftoff distance if you're having issues with tracking on your specific pad. And that's pretty much it. Just pretty basic settings that you can change, nothing too crazy. Okay, so let's go over the performance of the mouse in-game and the sensor performance as well. Overall, really solid. I've had no issues using it in-game. The sensor performs great, and I really had no issues there whatsoever. So, like I said earlier, there's really no point in playing on 8000 polling rate. Anything above 2000 Hertz polling rate is really not going to be tangible, and you're really not going to notice any difference whatsoever. So yeah, going from 2000 Hertz to 8000 Hertz, you're really not going to be able to notice any difference. And it's not going to make the difference between getting a kill and not getting a kill. So I would just recommend playing on 2000 Hertz, but also you're only getting 17 hours of battery life on 8000 Hertz compared to the 62 hours on 2000 Hertz. So obviously there's really no point in playing 8000 Hertz. Not only can you not tell a difference, but you're going to be drastically cutting your battery life down. But yeah, overall, my final thoughts on the Viper V3 Pro, I really like this mouse. I'm probably just going to be maining this mouse from now on. I like it a lot more than my G Pro Superlight 2 just because, like I mentioned earlier, the comfort grooves and the shape of the Viper V3 Pro is slightly more comfortable to me than the G Pro Superlight 2, and also I prefer the coating of the Viper V3 Pro as well. So this is going to be my main mouse moving forward for now, and yeah, just a really solid banger and definitely some solid competition for the G Pro Superlight 2 and a really good mouse to look into. So yeah, overall, I'm really impressed. This is a super solid offering by Razer here, and I would definitely recommend this mouse. And that's pretty much it, guys. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.